Good evening. Today, I'm here to tell you about something that's had an anaconda-like grip on me the past couple of years, and that's slavery. Way back in 2012, I attended a conference in Atlanta, Georgia called Passion. And during that conference, I was told that slavery still existed. And I was shocked and speechless because I was taught during my 12 years of school, high school, that slavery exited during the Civil War. So I thought it was gone. I didn't think it was a problem anymore. But I was told there are 27 million people here today that are sold into slavery. And those people are easy to forget when they're just a number and just a statistic. But they have a name and they have a face, and God loves them just like He does you and I. And since I attended Passion, I've had this consuming desire to tell as many people as I could that slavery still existed. And that I was not okay with it. So for the next few minutes, we're going to take a look at slavery. We're going to break it down. We're going to say, what is slavery? We're going to see how it looks today in our time period. And we're going to see why it's so attractive and why so many people get into it. And I told you that slavery existed, but what really is slavery? What does it mean? The CNN Freedom Project describes slavery as something that occurs when one person using violence to maintain that control exploits the slave economically, pays them nothing, and they cannot walk away from it. And in America today, we really look at slavery maybe as a kid having to work past his or her time at their job. And we call those child labor laws. But they are not the same as slavery. Slavery is totally different than it is then, and than it is in the Civil War. So our definition of slavery is people, men, women, and children who are sold, bonded, and human trafficked, who are subject to sexual abuse, recruited into armed conflicts, and forced to work as domestic workers. Now that we can see that slavery does exist and what it means and what it looks like, we're going to look at three forms of slavery. And that is human trafficking, bonded labor, and forced labor. And let's start with human trafficking. Human trafficking is transporting people away from their communities in which they live, and they are oftentimes forced to give sexual favors. And these people are forced to work against their will because of violence. And this form of slavery is actually the second largest international criminal industry in the world today, and it's the fastest growing. And here in the United States, there are 17,500 people who are trafficked annually, and human trafficking alone generates $32 billion. And 43% of trafficking victims are used for forced commercial sexual abuse, of whom 98% are women and girls. And the second form of modern-day slavery is bonded labor. And bonded labor is when a person is forced to use labor as a form of payment or loan. And bonded labor is really the most used method of slavery today. And there has really been extreme cases in Pakistan reported. And the saddest thing about bonded labor is that it doesn't involve just the men, just the dad, or just the woman and the mother, but the entire family, the children as well. And the third form of modern-day slavery is forced labor. Forced labor occurs when a slave is being held against their will under the threat of violence. And three forms of violence I'm talking about are physical violence, emotional violence, and mental violence. And really, in a nutshell, forced labor occurs anytime there's a person or people group forced into doing anything against their will as a form of debt or payment. And forced labor is most found in regulated underregulated industries, such as agriculture and fishing and domestic work, mining, prostitution. In case you were unaware, slavery doesn't cost the owner anything, but the slave everything. The owners really make money off of these slaves. See, what you are wearing right now and what I'm wearing probably come at the cost of a slave. And the slave industry alone probably makes more money than any other industry in the world. And as I mentioned earlier, human trafficking alone generates $32 billion each year. Right before the Super Bowl, one of my favorite speakers and authors, Christine Kane, said this. She said, a Super Bowl ad will cost roughly $4 million. That is roughly the same cost as 44,444 slaves. People, slavery still exists. It may not be the same as we read in our history books or we see on the big screen on TV and in movies, but it's still very much alive. There are 27 million men, women, and children trapped in slavery around the world, and they are in our communities. President Obama has even took note of the growing issue of slavery. I'm thrilled to tell you that when I attended Passion way back in 2012, that me and 60,000 other college kids had a goal to raise $25,000 in a couple days. And we raised over $3 million. And a lot of people thought we couldn't even raise $25,000, yet we raised $3 million. So today I'm here to tell you, I'm in it to end it. Thank you.